We did
We're live.
Background things on.
Yeah, we're live.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to another evening in Lives of the Vaishnava Acharyas. My name is Chaturatma. Nice to have you all with us. Excuse me, we'll just take a second and get a little feedback from Mauricio. If everything's coming through well, picture and sound, before we start. I see Mauricio, Manjesh is in the chat room, Kayvon. Saw Surfer Bob was there earlier. I don't know if he's still with us or not. So, but just a little setup time here. There's, tonight, I'm going to do something a little interesting here. As I was explaining to, well, first let me start off with this Bhagavad Gita verse that I wanted to read. It's Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, verse number 41. Contents of the Gita summarized. Mauricio, give us some feedback out there. Let us know if the sound's coming through good and if the picture is fine. Looks a little dark on my monitor, but let us know what it is, okay? And I'm going to read this Bhagavad Gita verse, text number 41. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. The word that's used, various branches in the Sanskrit, one that's commonly heard is bahushaka. Bahushaka as describing something that is not focused. So that is exactly how I feel today. Bahushaka, not focused. And so in that mood, I've kind of put together a compilation of things for this evening. I was explaining to Abai before we went live that there are two words. One is hodgepodge and one is potpourri. And they describe the same thing, a collection of odds and ends. So we're going to do a potpourri this evening because this smells much sweeter. So what I want to start off with is last week we spoke about the anticipation of Gaur Purnima on Monday night, and I would like to hope that everyone had a very wonderful Gaur Purnima festival last Tuesday in your respective temples, and that at the same time you have started your new year of Gaura dedication to Lord Chaitanya with a very wonderful mood, and that everything has successfully gone well for you. It says the video is back now.
Yeah.
Can we do that digital check at the beginning time thing? Counter?
Oh, I'll do that.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, so yes, this is our first week of the Gaur Purnima of our new year. But last week when we were speaking in preparation and describing the first Gaur Purnima, we talked about how Mother Janavamata came before the deities that Santosh Datta and his cousin Narottam Das Thakur had established, and that Srinivasacharya was engaged in installing and inviting the Lord into those forms. And that when she came before the Lord in that way, she offered a very wonderful prayer, at which point I admitted that I had forgotten the prayer. So I did my research. This is the prayer composed by Janavamata in the presence of the 6 deities that were installed at the first festival at Kituri. Gauranga Balabhikanta, Shri Krishna Braj Mohan, Radharaman He Radhe, Radhakanta Namostu Te. So of course the first of the deities, Gauranga, then Balabhikanta, see Radha Krishna deities, Shri Krishna, deity of Lord Krishna by himself, Braj Mohan, Radharaman and Radhakanta. Now, after the departure of Ramchandra Kaviraj, Narottam Das Thakur had a desire to leave this world. Those of you that were watching on our Monday night chats during the visit of Indradumna Swami, he spoke about this. I don't remember if it was the first night or the second night. This would have been the 12th and 13th or so of February. but he spoke about this, that when Ramchandra Kaviraj departed from this world, that Narottam decided, I would leave this body. He didn't ultimately. That's a different story than we're going with tonight. But the point is that after coming back from preparing himself to leave this body and re-establishing himself here in this world, he would offer the following prayer to those 6 deities. O Gauranga, O Balabhikanta, please be merciful to this materialistic person. O Radha Krishna, O Radhakanta, O Braj Mohan, please rid me of the agonies of this material world. O Radharaman, I lie at your feet. Please bless me that I can remember you in life and in death. So here we have these 6 deities that are installed under the direction of Narottam Das Thakur, with the blessings of Janavamata by Srinivasacharya. They're worshipped in Potpourri, and after Narottam recommits his life, he offers this wonderful prayer to them. Now one may ask, where are those deities now? What has become of them? So there are 6 deities, and we can give the following locations of those deities. The Gauranga deity is located at the home of Ganga Narayan Chakravarti, his house just some distance north of Mayapur. The Balabhikanta deity is located in Dwarka. The Sri Krishna deity, much to the distress of the Vaishnavas, this deity was worshipped by the king of Potpourri, Santosh Dutt, and then on down the line for some time. And then it was eventually given to one Brahmin family. And then we know, of course, that what was East Bengal eventually became Bangladesh, eventually became Muslim occupied and Muslim predominantly, and the majority of activities of Hindus were lost to time, and as a result this deity of Sri Krishna has been lost and the whereabouts are unknown. Braj Mohan, of course, Braj Mohan is in Vrindavan, very uncommonly visited area of Vrindavan, very beautiful area down on the east side of Vrindavan, back where the Jamuna makes that turn. Very nice deity, Braj Mohan, very wonderful worship goes on there. Radharaman is the one I can't remember. So if any of you listening out there are familiar with this story and happen to know which place the Radharaman deity is at, you could tell me. I think my slight memory is that it is also, they are also in Dwarka, but I'm not positive. And then the last deity, Radhakanta. Radhakanta Namostute. Radhakanta is situated in the city of Puri. With Indraduna Maharaj and a few of his disciples, we went to visit there in 2006. Very, very sweet Gaudiya Math temple. Beautiful hanging garlands. Everything is very pucka, very clean, very, very nice. Beautiful temple, and this is the residence of Radhakanta. So these are where these 6 deities that were installed at the Potpourri festival we spoke about last week, where they are residing at this time. Now, I mentioned a bit of a potpourri, a little mixing of this and that, and this subject that we are discussing tonight, that we just discussed about these deities that we've been discussing for some, I don't know, 30, 32, 36 episodes, or whatever it is now, these are all topics that we discuss for one purpose, and that purpose is to do away with prajalpa, to rid ourselves of the activity of prajalpa, because prajalpa simply means talking. Everyone is talking. But the type of prajalpa that is classified in the Bhakti Shastras as not beneficial is that prajalpa, that loose talk, which does not advance one's Krishna consciousness. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gives a very nice description in his
Bhakti Aloka?
Thank you. In his Bhakti Aloka. He describes prajalpa which spoils bhakti in 8 categories. So I thought it might be interesting to look at these 8 categories, as this is what we are hopefully trying to avoid by sessions such as this, Monday night with the lives of the Vaishnavacharyas, Tuesday night with the improving our chanting of japa, Thursday night with Mother Indrani and discussing the writings of Bhaktitirtha Swami, and then Friday night with Ramya Prabhu speaking from Bhagavad Gita. Why are devotees from all over the world, all over America, all over everywhere, tuning in for these? Because it is our hope that by doing so we will rid ourselves of these 8 types of Prajalpa Bhaktivinoda talks about. The first one is useless talks. Talks that are not about Lord Hari. Talks that do not include the Lord, His devotees, the Lord's pastimes, the pastimes of the devotees, the activities that promote Krishna consciousness. These are useless talks described by Bhaktivinoda. The second thing is arguments. Godless quarrels not based upon the Vedas. There are so many, and this is just from a philosophical point of view, what to speak of quarrels that have nothing to do with philosophy. We find that these things are going on everywhere. So godless quarrels that are not based upon the Vedas, people discussing philosophy back and forth. I just read an article on CNN this afternoon that some scholar has come to a conclusion that after studying the Essene scriptures, the Dead Sea Scrolls as they're more commonly known, that there are, that she's concluded that there are actually no people called the Essenes. And this is like a bomb in biblical studies. This is just a completely, my God, how could such a thing be? And so now the biblical scholars of ancient biblical texts are arguing back and forth. Are they, are they not? Are they, are they not? So this is one of the things that Bhaktivinoda talks about. Arguments that are not based on Veda, that are just for the sake of arguing on some philosophical point. Gossip. Talking about other people to establish one's own reputation. So this is something that we are all very much prone to. Most of us, maybe some of you are not. I know I have this tendency. Many of us have this tendency. What is the latest? Did you hear who's married to who? And did you hear who left who? Did you hear who bought a new house? In the 3rd canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is described as Gramya Katha. Gramya means village. Shalagram means the village of Shalagram, of the shalas, of the stones. Nandagram, the village of Nanda. So Gramya Katha, the talk of the village. And in that same verse in the 3rd canto, it goes further to mention that Gramya Katha is described as Kukata and Matigni. Kukata means words that kill the intelligence. Matigni, kill the intelligence. So this is gossip. Gossip about these things. Who got a new hut, who brought a new cow, who got new thatched, like that. So just amp it up to your particular level of material comfort, and there you go. So the 4th item that Bhaktivinoda describes is debates. Desire for conquest. Now, in many of the episodes we've discussed in our series on the lives of the Vaishnavacharyas, we have come across such individuals who are in this category, debating with the desire for conquest. Rupa Narayan, famously debating with Rupa Goswami, all the different personalities that challenged Narottam Das and his associates, simply for the purpose of establishing themselves as a superior personality. Desire for conquest. Number 5, fault finding in others, or imposing one's own bad habits on other persons. This is a very dangerous mentality. There's an old saying that when you point a finger at someone, you're pointing 3 fingers at yourself. Because you're pointing one this way, but the hand's folded and the other 3 are going this way. So we have to be very cautious when we begin to accuse people and point out their faults, that these are not actually just observing our own bad habits, speaking about them. Item number 6 in Bhaktivinoda's list is speaking falsehoods because of one's own self-interest. Trying to promote ideas that one either knows or has not bothered to research as to whether they are factual. And this many times ties in with gossip. You know what I heard about so-and-so? I heard such and such. And maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But it falls into the category of speaking falsehoods and gossip, or tied together like that. The next one is worldly talk. Worldly talk that is devoid of God consciousness. This means all of the things that go on that do not center themselves around Krishna, or the advancement of the principle of devotional service. And the final thing that Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions is blaspheming the devotees. This is, of course, the worst. And, you know, we become a little comfortable after a few years within our ISKCON society of this habit, speaking about devotees in a way that is not beneficial, criticizing devotees, speaking falsehoods about the devotees, gossiping about the devotees. These are all different ways of blaspheming the devotees. So we should be very careful. To avoid these things gives us strength. And one of the ways to avoid them is assemblies such as we have here through this wonderful medium of the internet, that we can gather together and discuss different pastimes. And the chat room adds an extra flavor to it, if you will. The devotees can pose questions and make statements, and so it becomes a back and forth. Even though I'm sitting here in Alachua, some of the people listening are in so many other places in the world. So these are the opportunities under the instruction of Bhaktivinoda that we can avoid these things. This is why we discuss the 6 deities that are installed in Potpourri and what the different prayers are, like that. So, since we've mentioned Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of the things I came across in my files, I was looking for something else and stumbled across this, and I hadn't seen it in some time. And since we were speaking about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu's first residence, his eternal dham, we can say, is Sri Navadvip, in a writing Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote, in a book he wrote called the Navadvip Bhavataranga, there is a selection of prayers to Lord Nrsingadev. And these prayers are for helping one to become solid and steady in their devotional service. So I'm going to read these prayers that are written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, prayers to Lord Nrsingadev in his Navadvip Bhavataranga. Verse number 1. Within my sinful heart, the 6 enemies headed by lust perpetually reside, as well as duplicity, the desire for fame, plus sheer cunning. At the lotus feet of Lord Narasimha, I hope that he will mercifully purify my heart and give me the desire to serve Lord Krishna. Weeping, I will beg at the... verse number 2. Weeping, I will beg at the lotus feet of Lord Narasimha for the benediction of worshipping Radha and Krishna in Navadvip, perfectly safe and free from all difficulties. When will this Lord Hari, whose terrible form strikes fear into fear itself, ever become pleased and show me his mercy? Verse number 3. Even though Lord Narasimha is terrifying toward the sinful souls, he offers great auspiciousness unto the devotees of Lord Krishna headed by Prahlad Maharaj. When will he be pleased to speak words of compassion unto me, a worthless fool, and thereby make me fearless? Verse number 4. Lord Narasimha will say to me, Dear child, sit down freely and live happily here in Sri Gauranga Dham. May you nicely worship the divine couple, and may you develop loving attachment to their holy names. By the mercy of my devotees, all obstacles are cast far away. With a purified heart, just perform the worship of Radha and Krishna, for such worship overflows with sweet nectar. And the final verse. Saying this, will that Lord delightedly place his own divine lotus feet upon my head? I will experience sublime love for the divine couple, Radha and Krishna, and undergo the ecstatic transformations called sattvika. Falling on the ground, I will roll at the door of Sri Narasimha's temple. So, of course, there's that famous temple in Mayapur of Lord Nrsingadev, Nrsingsapuri, and it's described that if one places a desire there before that deity, that desire will be fulfilled. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur here we see is placing this desire before that deity of Lord Nrsingadev, that not only will he establish for him the ability to be free from material influence, but they will allow him to worship Radha and Krishna while happily residing in Sri Gauranga Dham, as he describes it there. So here again, this is just another of the wonderful ways that we can protect ourselves from the influence of material energy by this type of proper kata, and by this type of proper understanding of the devotional activities, and keeping ourselves always speaking about the devotees of the Lord's activities like that. So this is one of the desires of the devotees. This is to protect ourselves, to inoculate ourselves against the influence of the material energy. And there's one very nice prayer from the Garga Samhita. It's the Balaram Kavacha. Now many of us are familiar with the Nrsimha Kavacha. This is the prayer, and the Nrsimha Kavacha and the Narayana Kavacha. These are prayers. The Narayana Kavacha particularly is given in the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam, a way of placing the names of the Lord on one's body in a subtle form to protect one from any type of difficulty in activities and reactions. So in the same way, there is what's called the Balabhadra Sotra Kavacha, and these are the prayers for the protection of Lord Balaram. So I thought it would be nice to also read these as a means of understanding another way that we can protect ourselves from the influence of Prajalpa and material energy. Text number 1. Duryodhana said, "O great sage, please give me the transcendental Balaram Kavacha, which wise Gargamuni gave to the gopis, and which gives all protection." Text number 2. The great Muni said, "After bathing and dressing in clean cotton garments, a person should sit on a kusa grass mat."
Whoa.
Hare Krishna. We just had a visitor in here to the to the recording studio. A bird just flew in, seeking that shelter and that protection.
That was a bat.
No, is it a bat?
Yeah,
Oh, it was a bat.
that was a bat.
It was a bat. Okay, it was not a bird, it was a bat. It's in this tube right here.
I know, I'm trying to see.
Okay, so we're praying for the protection of Lord Balaram, and right here we're getting a live example of how we can get that protection. For those of you that may not be aware, we have a lot of bats down here in Florida, and they're very good for eating mosquitoes. So, as we were saying, after bathing and dressing in clean cotton garments, a person should sit on a kusa grass mat, purify his hands with mantras, bow down, and with fixed intelligence meditate on Lord Krishna's elder brother, Lord Balaram. May Lord Balaram, who is the master of Goloka, who is the supreme controller of all controllers, and whose fame is spotless, protect me. May Lord Balaram, who on his head holds the earth as if it were a single mustard seed, protect me in this world. May Lord Balaram protect me while I am surrounded by armies. May Lord Balaram, who holds the plow, always protect me in battle. May Lord Balaram, who holds the club, always protect me in many fortresses. May Lord Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, protect me in the forest. May Lord Balaram, who wears garments and who stopped the Jamuna, always protect me in fire. May Lord Balaram protect me in the wind. May Lord Balaram protect me in the sky. May Lord Balaram, who is Lord Ananta himself, always protect me in the great ocean. May Lord Balaram, who is Vasudev's son, protect me on mountains. May Lord Balaram, who has 1,000 heads, protect me in great disputes. This, of course, refers to Ananta. May Lord Balaram, who is Rohini's son, protect me from disease. May Lord Balaram, who fulfills desires, protect me from catastrophes like unwanted bats in this recording studio. May Lord Balaram, who is the enemy of Dinakasura, always protect me from lust. May Lord Balaram, who killed Dvidvida, always protect me from anger. May Lord Balaram, who is the enemy of Bhavala, always protect me from greed. May Lord Balaram, who is the enemy of Jarasandha, always protect me from illusion. May Lord Balaram, who is the best of the Vrishnis, always protect me at sunrise. May Lord Balaram, who is the king of Mathura city, always protect me in the morning. May Lord Balaram, who is the friend of the Gopas, always protect me at midday. May Lord Balaram, who is supremely independent, always protect me in the afternoon. May Lord Balaram, who is the king of the serpents, always protect me at sunset. May Lord Balaram, who is greater than the greatest, always protect me in the evening from bats in the recording studio. May Lord Balaram, whose power is invincible, always protect me in the middle of the night. May Lord Balaram protect me at every sunset. May Lord Balaram, who is the master of Revati, protect me from every direction. May Lord Balaram, who is the enemy of Pralamba, protect me from every direction. May Lord Balaram, who is the best of the Avana, yeah, it's on, I want you to be there,
Okay.
second one down.
Oh, okay.
May Lord Balaram, who is the protector of Revati, protect me from every direction. May Lord Balaram, who is the enemy of Pralamba, protect me also from every direction. May Lord Balaram, who is the best of the Avanas, protect me from below. May Lord Balaram, who always protects me, everyone protect me from above. May Lord Balaram protect me from near and far. May Lord Balaram protect me everywhere. May Lord Balaram, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, always protect me from within. May powerful Lord Balaram, who enjoys pastimes as the King of Serpents, protect me from without. May Lord Balaram, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul residing in everyone's heart, always protect me. Please know that this Kavacha of Lord Balaram is the best of all armors. It destroys the fears of the demigods and the demons. It is the blazing fire that burns up the fuel of a host of sins. It is the death of a host of obstacles. It is the abode of spiritual perfection. So this is a very nice selection of different items, understanding how to absorb ourselves in the pastimes of the Lord to avoid prajalpa, understanding how to seek the blessings of Lord Nrsimhadev to protect us from those things, and then covering ourselves with this armor of Lord Balaram to be protected in this way also. In the chat room, some of you may have seen that we had a request as to where this Balaram Kavacha can be found. It's very simple. If you just, those of you in the chat room can see it there, but if you also go to Google and just type in Balaram Kavacha, it'll pull up and you can get it there too. So it's a very, very nice prayer to have, one that's good to recite. So I wanted to also, last week we had such a wonderful time discussing the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during Gaur Purnima, and really absorbing ourselves in the mood of that first Gaur Purnima festival as the description was given in the Bhakti Ratnakar. And hey, we have Manu with us. Hare Krishna, Manu. Nice to have you join. As I was saying, in the Bhakti Ratnakar, this description is given of the first observance of the Gaur Purnima festival, and we had great fun with that last week. Many devotees contacted me during the week and expressed their great appreciation for it, and it was very, very ecstatic reading. So what I would also like to do, previously we have spoken at length about the book that Mother Sitala has written, A Life of Devotion, the life of Narottam Das Thakur, and we've read from it on 2 different occasions, and I wanted to take the balance of this evening's time, and I want to read her description in novel format, as we've discussed before, of the festival at Potpourri. Very, very wonderful. So we'll begin. This is, the festival has already been announced, invitations have been sent out, and the devotees have begun to arrive. So now we're going to pick up where the festival is actually beginning. Narottam stood alongside Srinivasacharya on the soft sand of the riverbank. His eyes flashed with excitement as he anxiously studied each of the boats crossing the Padmavati River. The river was teeming with boats of every size and shape. busily ferrying the festival guests across the water. Devotees from all parts of Bengal and Orissa had been streaming into Potpourri for all days. Narottam, Srinivas, Shyamananda, Ramchandra Kaviraj, as well as many of their disciples and residents of Potpourri, were tirelessly greeting each guest with devotion and respect. "She must be on that boat over there," Narottam said, pointing to a large boat crowded with devotees. "That is the special boat that Santosh had built for Sri Vaishnava Mata." Shading his eyes with his hands, Srinivas peered across the water. "Yes," he said excitedly, "I can see a palanquin on that boat, and there are some of her disciples, Manikatam Ramdas, Murari Chaitanya, and it looks like Vrindavan Das is there as well." "Look at the boat next to them," Ramchandra said exuberantly. "Isn't that Hridoy Chaitanya, along with the devotees from Ambika Kalna, and Shripati, and Srinidhi from Navadvip?" Narottam's heart pounded with excitement. Now, with Sri Vaishnava Mata's arrival, it seemed that everyone who had received invitations had arrived. It was all beyond his expectations. All of Mahaprabhu's associates, their disciples, their children, and their children's children had come to Potpourri to take place in the festival. But since Mahaprabhu's disappearance, never had there been such a gathering of exalted personalities. Excuse me. Now we remember in reading the previous descriptions that there was great energy and devotion put out by Santosh, Narottam's cousin, who was the king at that time, to establish special residential quarters and to make arrangements for all the accommodations of the guests. And here we see that he even arranged for a special boat for Mother Vaishnava Mata, because she was the topmost of all the Vaishnavas, all the Bengali Vaishnavas. She was considered the head of the Vaishnava community at that time. As the boats carrying Mother Vaishnava and her entourage neared the shore, everyone rushed forward to greet them with unrestrained joy. Some devotees waded into the water to garland the newcomers, while others began dabbing cooling sandalwood paste on the foreheads of the guests as they stepped out of the boats. A few devotees spontaneously scooped up the water from the river in their hands and playfully bathed the feet of the guests. Others helped to unload the many valuable gifts brought for the deities. The entire riverbank was alive with excitement. Some devotees were locked in loving embraces. Others lay flat on the sand offering obeisances. Excited laughter, joyful crying, and loud shouts of "Hari Bol, Jai Nitai, Jai Gauranga" echoed all through the air. Catching sight of Srimati Vaishnava Mata, Narottam, Srinivas, and all the other devotees fell flat, offering obeisances to the revered wife of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Smiling brightly, Srimati Vaishnava Mata stepped onto the shore, followed by her son, Virachandra. Virachandra, Virabhadra is known by both names. Narottam approached her with folded hands. "Potpourri has now become blessed by your association," he said with great humility. "We were worried that you would not come, but now that you are here, the festival is certain to be a grand success." The devotees stepped aside, making a pathway for Vaishnava Mata. She replied, "We could not miss such an opportunity. It is Mahaprabhu's desire that we all come together and glorify him." Srinivas, Narottam, and others escorted her and her entourage to the town. As the party of devotees entered Potpourri, the newly arrived guests were amazed and delighted to see the festive decorations bedecking the town in every aspect. Every lane and pathway was lined with banana trees, and all the buildings were artfully decorated with long strips of neem and sugarcane branches, or artful wreaths, beautiful with mango and tamarind. Profuse, multicolored flower garlands were draped everywhere, and elaborate rice flower designs adorned the entrances of every home and building. Narottam and Srinivas ushered their guests through the busy streets, passing long lines of ladies and young girls chatting amongst themselves as they sat cross-legged before piles of colorful flowers, stringing countless garlands for the festival. The ladies offered their respects as they passed and peered shyly with respectful curiosity at the famous devotees. You can just imagine this town where just in the course of 2 days, every exalted Vaishnava in the entire of Bengal and Orissa has come to this town. How excited the devotees would be to see so many wonderful Vaishnavas, and not only see them, because as we know from Srila Prabhupada's instructions, even a moment's sight of a pure devotee is purifying. But to be able to serve them, to be able to hear from them, to observe their kirtan, what an uplifting mood this must have been. A little further down the lane, Srinivas and Narottam guided their guests past a large group of villagemen grinding sandalwood paste, their muscles bulging as they vigorously rubbed huge pieces of sandalwood back and forth against large stones. The men paused to offer their respects, then continued with their service as they filled many vessels with moist, aromatic chandan. As they walked on, past the new temple, the guests curiously studied the exquisite new structure. They marveled to see the many fires ablaze in the makeshift kitchens set up around the temple to feed the thousands attending the festival. Numerous Brahmana cooks could be seen stirring gigantic woks with huge wooden paddles, while scores of helpers busily cut vegetables, cleaned dal and rice, and kneaded dough. Indeed, all of Potpourri was bustling with activity. Children, old people, women, men, everyone was caught up in the excitement of the forthcoming festivals. Amazed and deeply pleased, Srimati Janavamata said, "Narottam, you have created a most extraordinary environment here. It appears that the whole town is in Vaikuntha consciousness." "I have done nothing," Narottam said softly. "By the mercy and expert guidance of Srinivasacharya and the kindness of King Santosh, all of this before you has been arranged." This is the wonderful quality of a devotee, but particularly of Narottam, that this is indeed Narottam's Prabhudatta Desh. He has established himself here after leaving Vrindavan. He's been given this preaching area by Jiva Goswami, and he has vigorously infused Krishna consciousness into every aspect of the town. And then he's organized this wonderful festival. Not single-handedly, of course, many people have helped, but everything takes a leader. And then, when the most glorious Janavamata offers to give some praise to him for his works, he very humbly passes that praise, just like deflects it, just lets it bounce off to Srinivasacharya and King Santosh. Oh, it is all their doing. So this is the proper mood of a devotee. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur was describing, Prajalpa is the opposite of that, to find fault in others and to speak ill of others for the purpose of establishing one's own position. As Srinivas guided the group towards the guest houses, many of the residents of Potpourri trailed behind them, staring unabashedly at the effulgent devotees who had suddenly descended upon their village. After showing Janavamata to her lodging, Srinivas arranged for the accommodation of all the other guests, assigning various devotees to look after their needs. "Ramchandra, you take charge of the personal service of Raghunathacharya and his associates," he said, "and your brother can take care of Sri Raghunandana and his companions." Turning to Shyamananda, he said, "You should see to the needs of Sri Hridoy Chaitanya and his followers." Seeing that services were being handed out, a fierce competition broke out amongst the residents of Potpourri. Each of them was eager for an opportunity to render service to the great visiting Vaishnavas. Now, this is also exemplary of the mood of a devotee, is that when the service is being given out, everybody wants a piece of it. Oh, something to do? Yes, yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. Pots to be washed? Yes, yes, I'll do it. Floors to be mopped? Yes, yes, I'll do it. So in this way, devotees are always enthusiastic. What's that saying? There's two things a devotee's never bashful about. Prasadam and service. Especially if that prasadam is glutinous. Every possible accommodation in Potpourri, as well as in the many surrounding villages, was packed to the brim with visiting devotees. And gradually the sounds of kirtans, pujas, discourses, and dramas began to fill every quarter. Children, old people, women, men, invited or uninvited, everyone was welcome. By evening, all of Potpourri was overflowing with excited anticipation. Everyone was praising Sri Thakur Mahasaya, who had made this extraordinary event possible. Even though Narottam was trying to deflect any praise to him from Mother Janavamata and sending it instead to Srinivas and his cousin Santosh, we see here that everyone understood and they were all glorifying him. So the Lord becomes most pleased when his devotee is glorified. Enthusiastic crowds cramming into the temple courtyard early the next morning marveled at the beautiful decorations. A massive, brightly colored canopy was impressively draped across the front courtyard, and the entire area was profusely adorned with banana trees, coconuts, flower garlands, mango leaves, and clay pitchers filled with water. In the middle of the courtyard, atop a large pedestal, beautified by flower garlands, stood the 6 deities to be installed, their forms hidden beneath large pieces of new cloth. In one corner of the courtyard, a yagnashala stood ready with pots of ghee and piles of wood and grains. Standing to one side, along with Narottam and Ramachandra, Srinivas discussed the final arrangements for the festival with King Santosh. When he saw that everything was ready, he escorted Janavamata to her seat. Narottam and Ramachandra then ushered the other senior guests to their seats. Standing in the front of the assembly, Srinivas pressed his palms together in respectful pranams and humbly addressed the exalted devotees of the Lord. I request your permission to begin the auspicious Abhishek ceremony. The senior Vaishnavas all nodded their heads in consent, and Srinivas at once pulled aside the cloth covering the deities, revealing their exquisite, brilliant forms. The crowd gasped with delight. Amidst the loud shouts of approval, Srinivas, assisted by many brahmanas, proceeded with the bathing ceremony. At once the courtyard began to vibrate with a calliope of sounds. Conch shells blew, gongs clanged, bells rang, the shrill ululating of joyful ladies resounded. Kartals chimed in time to the beat of deep pulsating drums, and the chanting of the holy name filled the air, mixing with the sonorous voices of the host of Brahmins chanting Vedic mantras. You can just take a minute and picture in your mind's eye what an amazing scene this must have been. Excuse me. Narottam stood transfixed, staring intently at the golden deity of Lord Gauranga. His heart was overflowing with love for the Lord. Billows of incense smoke spread a delicious scent throughout the courtyard as Srinivas poured water over the body of the deities, and the devotees excitedly chanted, Jai Gauranga, Jai Nitai! When the bathing was completed, the deities were covered from sight as Srinivas carefully dressed each deity in gorgeous clothing. Meanwhile, the kirtan roared and fires blazed in the yagnashala. Srinivas completed the puja by carefully dabbing sandalwood paste on the foreheads of the deities and offering them fragrant flower garlands. Then, as conch shells blew uproariously, the curtain was removed, revealing the beautiful deity splendidly bedecked in new clothing. The crowd, wild with excitement, crushed forward to have darshan of their lordships. Srinivas picked one of the deities up and loudly called out, "Jai Shri Shri Balavakanta ki Jai!" As the crowds roared their approval, he carried the deity to the altar and placed him down. Then, picking up the deity of Lord Gauranga, Srinivas called out, "Jai Shri Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki Jai!" and placed the deity on the altar to the side of Sri Balabhikanta. In this way, one by one, the deities were moved to the altar, with Srinivas calling out the name of each deity. Jai Shri Shri Brajmohan, Jai Shri Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Shri Radhakanta, Jai Shri Shri Radharaman. Ecstatic kirtan continued to roar as a sumptuous feast was offered to their lordships and the arti ceremony was performed. When the installation ceremony was completed, Srinivas turned to Narottam and said, "You should now begin kirtan." Narottam's heart filled with joyous anticipation. He instructed Devi Dasa to tell Balabha, Gokul, and Gauranga to get ready for kirtan. These are Narottam's immediate kirtan party, his most expert kirtan disciples. So he's gathered them all together now. The musicians carried their instruments to the courtyard, and Narottam joined them carrying incense and flowers to worship the mridangas and kartals before the kirtan. We spoke about this last week, and Bhakti Ratnakar gives a very nice description of how the kartals and the mridanga would all be offered garlands and sandalwood paste like that, because these are the anga of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the arms of Mahaprabhu, the instruments that are used in his kirtan. The excited crowds pushed forward, straining to get a better view as the kirtan began to assemble. After completing the puja, Narottam gently placed flower garlands around the neck of each of the musicians and smeared sandalwood paste on their foreheads. Turning to face the crowd, Narottam's heart flooded with bliss and gratitude, and he fell to the ground, offering full dandavats to all of the Vaishnavas assembled. Standing up, he then proceeded to offer his obeisances to each of the senior devotees present. With great humility and joy, he circled the entire courtyard, rising and falling again and again as he bowed to each devotee. Finally, he turned towards the deities. With eyes filled with love, he called out to their lordships, "Gauranga Nitai, please give us your blessings." There was silence in the courtyard. All eyes were on the face of Narottam as they anxiously waited for him to sing. Taking the kartals in his hand, Narottam sat down in the center of the musicians and nodded to begin. Narottam sat erect, his eyes closed, his expression meditative, as he listened to Devi Dasa's deft hands slowly and softly dance across the mridanga. With a gentle smile, he began to sing in a voice imbued with devotion. Poignant verse after verse in glorification of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu flowed from his mouth like streams of nectar. The crowd was completely captivated by his exquisitely sweet, penetrating voice and the magnificent musical accompaniment. It was a divine sound, a new and extraordinary type of kirtan, unlike anything ever heard before. Tears began to glide down the faces of many of the Vaishnavas as they listened to Narottam's poetic glorification of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The temple gradually increased, and the people in the audience clapped and swayed to the mesmerized music. As Narottam became more and more deeply absorbed in remembrance of the Lord, his brow furrowed, and his whole frame shook. The cymbals in his hands flashed in the morning sunlight, and tears of happiness flowed down his cheeks as he continued to sing in a voice trembling with devotion. One poetic song after another poured from the depths of Narottam's heart. Each song was like a condensed Veda, conveying volumes of transcendental significance, and each raga, matching perfectly the mood of each pastime, seemed to come to life, dancing playfully on Narottam's tongue. Skillfully shifting the mood, style, and tune of the kirtan, Narottam began to sing the glories of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna with profound love and devotion. The inundation of pure sound vibration emanating from Narottam's lips flooded the courtyard with spiritual energy, engulfing the entire audience in the atmosphere of bhakti. No one could remain unmoved as they were swept up in the waves of Narottam's prema. Men, women, children, and non-believers, everyone began to swim in an ocean of transcendental bliss. But Narottam was oblivious to his surroundings. He sang on, his body drenched in sweat, mixed with tears of joy. The Sankirtan pavilion echoed loudly in the praises of the Lord, and many devotees stood and danced with wild abandonment, forgetting everything except the bliss of the kirtan. As Narottam continued singing, he, along with the others, noticed an extraordinarily sweet scent filling the air. It was clearly not the smell of flowers or incense, but a wonderfully intoxicating scent, which, as it swept through the crowds, caused row after row of devotees to swoon in ecstasy. Narottam realized that this incredible fragrance was emanating directly from the body of the deities. With this realization, Narottam felt a profoundly deep sense of separation from the Lord, and he changed the melody of the kirtan to match this mood. He thus led the crowds into even deeper states of spiritual emotions. The atmosphere became thicker and thicker until the feelings of separation pervading the courtyard were so profound it appeared to everyone, including the musicians, that they were moving in slow motion, as if walking through honey. As if walking through honey. So we're going to finish there with this description. There is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more pages of descriptions of Narottam's kirtan party. So maybe we'll save that for another time and another place when we can absorb ourselves in more of the kirtan pastimes of Narottam Das Thakur. So as we wrap up this evening's broadcast, I would encourage anyone that wasn't our bat. I would encourage anyone that has any question or that would like to pose any subject, you can do so. While you're doing that, I'm going to close us out with this beautiful prayer that I've been reciting daily for many, many years. It's called the Sri Govardhan Astakam. This is 8 prayers in glorification of Govardhan Hill. May Govardhan Hill, which by Krishna's mercy became the king of all mountains and received the respectful tribute of its archenemy Indra, fulfill my desire. As it was held above the earth, Govardhan Hill became so filled with happiness by experiencing the softness of its beloved Krishna's lotus hand, it did not even notice it was being struck by Indra's thunderbolts. May that Govardhan Hill fulfill my desires. Trying to collect a toll, Krishna quarreled there with King Vrishabhanu's daughter. The personified Vedas yearned to listen to that quarrel. May Govardhan Hill fulfill my desires. Bathing in a nearby lake, the elephant of a pleasant breeze, covered with pollen of kadamba and other flowers, gracefully plays there. May Govardhan Hill fulfill my desires. How is it that the sweet fragrance of the musk deer and the various natural scents there make the Lord so calm and relaxed? May Govardhan Hill fulfill my desires. Searching there on Govardhan Hill for Lord Hari on the path of his flute music, the astonished deer do not find him. May Govardhan Hill fulfill my desire. As the divine couple traveled on the Ganges there, the boat began to sink in the middle. Krishna was splendidly handsome as Radha clung to his neck. May Govardhan Hill fulfill my desire. Without taking shelter at the feet of the hill that is the best of Lord Hari's servants, and full of love for the divine king and queen, how is it possible to obtain devotional service? May Govardhan Hill fulfill my desire. May the reader and hearer of these 8 verses, glorifying Lord Hari's greatest servant, Sri Govardhan, his heart melting with pure love, quickly obtain direct service to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha and Madhava. So we'll finish there this evening. We have no questions. We thank all of you very much for joining us, and we ask you to join us again next Monday evening for another episode in Lives of the Vaishnava Acharyas. Hare Krishna.